So we have an interesting proposal for you today. In the Iraqi Parliament, 25% of all parliament tickets need to be represented by a woman. Currently, the typical ticket consists of 4 people, which means that of the 4, at least one of them needs to be a woman. We're going to argue today that having these types of gender quota policies are positive and serve to enhance the political interests of women in countries where they are traditionally underrepresented. The first thing I want to talk about is how the role of policy in these kinds of circumstances. We think that policy should step in cases where the free market does not. And so by the free market, we're going to interpret that loosely to mean that sort of like de facto forces that are beyond the control of policy normally. So what I mean by this is that it's pretty unlikely that people are going to have a magical reversal of like a change of heart in these countries where women have been disenfranchised for thousands, or maybe not thousands, but like hundreds and many decades. We think that insofar as it's unlikely that people are going to come around by themselves to recognize that women can be viable political candidates, you need policy to step in and put these and create political positions for these women who otherwise lack the ability to gain the soft power to win the nominations by themselves. Secondly, we think that having women in positions of power is a positive reinforcement cycle. Whereas, like when you see one woman in cycle, another woman gets the message that maybe women, can overcome the obstacles that have faced them their entire lives. Maybe, like despite not having access to the same resources as men, women can also triumph. We think that's an important message to send to girls and women in to do. So I think there's some internal tension in Katie's arguments about. On the one hand, she says that they're going to install their sisters and wives as puppets in these positions because they have to fulfill this gender quota. On the other hand, she says that the women installed might be inadequate and might not be able to meet the task, be right for the job. So I think the internal contradiction here is that the parties are aware that what's going to happen if they install a completely incompetent woman, right? If they install their sister or mother and that woman turns out to be completely incompetent and like persuading anybody, she gets up on the Senate floor and doesn't even know what she's talking about. It just like starts rambling about some random thing. Everyone's going to see that and see like, well, this party doesn't know what they're doing. Maybe let's not vote for them in the next election cycle. I think that's a very strong disincentive to install any random woman. I think the women that are going to be installed are more realistically women who are capable and adequate of representing their party positions and able to sort of harness the soft power that's needed to keep a party in power. Because remember, it's not just about getting elected and meeting the gender quota. It's about hanging on to power once you've gotten it. So I think that's a very important disincentive against like installing random people just for the sake of meeting the quota. But secondly, Katie didn't respond to my second point, which is like you get positive feedback cycles when women see that other women that it's possible for women to triumph and sort of like attain positions of power. I think this is actually hugely significant in countries where women are sort of grappling with a new identity that have been recently liberated, like Iraq, like maybe not Iran. I don't know. There are a lot of countries. There are a lot of countries out there where women are still grappling with their identities, and we think that having women in visible positions of